I spend most of my time searching for new ways of finding happiness in the things that I love. I love footy, I love music, but this channel mainly focuses on my love for games. Now I played a lot of games, which means that naturally I played games that I've really enjoyed and games that I've really hated. I played games which I think are amazing and games that I think are terrible. But never in my life have I played a game which fit into every single one of these categories. That is, until I first played Catherine. Catherine is an interesting game to me because of the way it decides to tell its story and teach its lessons. This is a puzzle game created by Atlus and made by the same guy who directed the Persona series and helped bring SMT to life. This guy is a fucking genius, and Catherine is a perfect example of what the brain of a lunatic with a gifted and creative mind, matched with the insatiable appetite to create something so insane it leaves the player with everlasting memories, along with the creative liberty to go absolutely batshit insane and create whatever you want, leads to. I don't really think that made much sense, but I feel that the gameplay shares this same sentiment. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had weird dreams? I'm sure you have, but people often struggle to remember them. If you're one of those lucky people who can remember their dreams, then maybe the gameplay playing in the background can be, I don't know, relatable. I don't play puzzle games, so this game was something really different to me, and I really enjoyed it. It does a great job at creating difficult puzzles with a relatively novel idea. You move blocks to make a staircase up to a door at the top, which then ends the level. Obviously, it's not that simple. There are many different types of blocks, along with power-ups spread across the levels. Blocks can fall down, and there are other sheep that can knock you down with them. Right, I should probably explain. Vincent Brooks is a 32-year-old man working at a tech company and living his life in a, quote, dump of a city. He has a longtime girlfriend by the name of Catherine, who is starting to get worried about not being married and having her future in question. One night, following a conversation about marriage between the two, Vincent meets another girl at his go-to drinking spot for him and the boys. He would inevitably wake up the next morning beside her, and lo and behold, her name is also Catherine.
It is?
You haven't called me by my name before, have you?
Your name? Catherine?
What is it, Vincent?
Nothing. Are you fucking kidding me?
So now Vincent is divided by his feelings for both girls and the strange nightmares he's been having every night from just before Catherine, with a C, came into his life. These strange nightmares take up the puzzle game portion of Catherine, but the other half of the game is a social sim, similar to that of Persona or a fucking Animal Crossing, I don't know. I think the way Atlus described it themselves is pretty perfect. Catherine is an unconventional romantic horror game. The social part of the game takes place at the Stray Sheep, the bar mentioned earlier, and in the Stray Sheep you can walk around, talk to customers, your friends, and use your phone to talk to the Catherines through the night. I actually really like this part of the game because there's something so charming about being able to walk around the bar and talking to different people about their problems, hearing the different personalities everyone has, the different stories they can tell. I think that show don't tell is a rule that's really important for stories and this kind of media, but honestly, Catherine kind of gets away with telling and not showing. Beyond that, there's a mysterious meter, based on SMT's Law and Order alignments, which is a good way of showing where Vincent's headspace is at the moment. Choose the dialogue options and pick the answers in the confessional that enforce Catherine with a K's ideals, and the meter will shift towards order. However, choose the options that better align with Catherine with a C's easygoing and impulsive nature, and the meter shifts towards freedom. This meter decides the ending of the game, depending on where you place in the meter in the final arc, and constantly shows up when making choices in the game, helping you reflect further on your decisions. Next, it's impossible to talk about Catherine without speaking about the characters. There's the main group of Orlando, Johnny, and Toby, who are all characters with very contrasting personalities that are inescapably charming. Each of them fit into different parts of the scale, Orlando falling into freedom, Johnny aligning more with order, and Toby being wherever the fuck. Orlando is easygoing and lives for himself, not too dissimilar in ways to Catherine with a C, but for very different reasons. Orlando is the only one in the group having gone through a marriage and subsequent divorce, leading to his cynical ideology regarding marriage, which is why he's the most laid back when discussing the Catherines with the group.
You never know if she'll stab you in the back.
At points, he even seems to egg Vincent on, telling him to leave Catherine with a K for the new Catherine in his life. But his viewpoint changes when the group finds out that Catherine told Vincent she might be pregnant. Johnny is almost Orlando's opposite in a way, as he's much more reserved, quiet, and serious. He's also a lot more closed off than the others, and never really goes into much detail about his personal life when the group questions him about it. All we know is that he's in a relationship with a girl that he doesn't intend intend to marry. The reason for this is Johnny's feelings for Catherine, Vincent's girlfriend Catherine. Because of this, Johnny is very protective of her and strongly encourages Vincent to do the right thing and come clean about the situation. Toby is the youngest of the group. Along with being a decade younger than everyone else, he's also the only one of the main cast who didn't go to the same high school, excluding Catherine with a C and the boss. Toby is very kind-hearted and enthusiastic and is usually seen smiling and joking around. He's got a romanticized way of seeing romance, and is seen crushing over Erica throughout the game. Also, he's a Ben 10. Erica is maybe the best character in the game. She's caring, charismatic, and is usually the one spreading the rumors about the mysterious nightmares causing the bizarre incidents of men dying in their sleep. She's also part of the group from high school, but seemingly isn't as close to everyone else due to the passing of time. This is something she's clearly saddened by, but she's able to hang out with the group and even drink with Vincent at times because of her work as the waitress of the Stray Sheep. She's also got a thing for Toby, but isn't sure about committing to it because of the age gap.
It should have been me!
Also, I feel like it's important to bring this up, but I feel that Erica is a good example of what trans representation should be in the gaming world. Although I know in the original Japanese version of the game, there are a couple of weird transphobic remarks about her and dead naming. I'm glad they removed them from the localized ports, and it really goes to show where and how trans people can be represented in games in a way that's nuanced and doesn't disrespect a group of people who are constantly shunned off by the world. It's not perfect, but it's going in the right direction. There are two sides to a spectrum, K and C. Catherine with a K is intelligent, mature, responsible, assertive, but is shown to have a softer side at points and has a sense of humor too. She's a good communicator, is straightforward and appreciates honesty and commitment, and although she can be a bit bossy and overbearing at points, she has a good heart and cares for the people she loves. Catherine with a C is a succubus. Okay. Her character's a little more complex than that. She's supposed to symbolize Vincent's ideal type. Someone free, cheerful, carefree, eccentric, essentially the polar opposite of Catherine with a K. She's impulsive, non-committal, white. Basically, as a shape-shifting succubus, her whole existence is to take the form of a person's type, seduce them, and then kill them by putting them in the nightmares mentioned before. The Catherine novel fleshes this out even more by explaining how Orlando and Johnny ended up in the nightmares. Johnny's type being essentially a blonde Catherine with a K, and Orlando's type being a foxy Latina. My man. Anyways, I'm not gonna go too deep into the endings, partly because I don't want to, and partly because I don't know how the fuck to explain this. And don't even get me started on Full Body. Catherine tackles a variety of topics and themes that aren't usually talked about in games, whether that be sexual abuse, the worries about starting a family and settling down, and of course, cheating. Not only that, but the other characters in the Stray Sheep mentioned before have their own stories depicting childhood trauma of not just physical abuse, but mental and sexual abuse too, coping with the death of a loved one, and how arranged marriages can ruin the wonders of love. These are very serious topics, and it's amazing seeing them discussed in a game that's as critically and commercially successful as Catherine is. Not bad for a game made to blueprint Persona 5. I see a lot of people talking about wanting a Persona game, but with adults, and I think this is probably the closest you're gonna get to it. But don't get me wrong, this isn't Persona, it's its own thing. Catherine is pretty damn special. 9 out of 10. Hold on to it, you fuck. I just squashed myself with a fucking block. I'm gonna kill myself. I have to do everything again.